Welcome back, everyone, to Twisted Shadow. So today we kind of got a big message, a little bit different. Several cards came out. So this is all about the oracle and being an oracle, being that communicator. And there are three sides to that. There's vulnerability, authority, and belief. So when we open up and we connect, we are making ourselves vulnerable. And this isn't a bad thing. We need to stop thinking about vulnerability like it's a weakness, because it's not. It does require faith. It does require courage, because you don't know what's going to happen. But if we don't open ourselves up completely to the experience, to the message, to what we're connecting to, and this goes for people too, connecting with other people, it does make us vulnerable if we are being our authentic self in that. And we have to be, otherwise that connection isn't true either. And so we take a chance and we make ourselves vulnerable, and we may get hurt, or we may discover wonderful, beautiful things and an amazing experience. And that's kind of the hinge, because we're going to experience both. There are people and spirit and things that we make ourselves vulnerable for. We open ourselves up. We are our whole authentic self when we do it. And sometimes we're going to get hurt, and sometimes it's going to be something wonderful. But if you don't, you're going to miss out completely. On authority. And as I said, this is focused on oracle work, but it also applies when we're connecting and bonding with people, with spirit. So on authority, we're our authentic self. We're making ourselves vulnerable. But that doesn't mean we're making ourselves defenseless. We have our own boundaries that we set. We have our own foundations. Things we've built. And they don't need to go out the window just because we're making ourselves vulnerable to something, just because we're opening ourselves up to something. Our core shouldn't change. And that's another pitfall that a lot of people fall into, is they think that they have to change in order to have that bond, that relationship. And granted, we change in certain ways to incorporate that bond and to accommodate that bond, but it's not our core stuff. We don't really change at our core unless it's something we need to change, not because something else needs us to change. So we think that's really what we're talking about here with authority, is maintaining our foundation, maintaining our structure during that connection and during that bonding. And then belief. Belief and faith are things that we don't see, but we feel. Things that may not be logical for the mind, and we can't give proof for, because it's not a physical, tangible thing. Belief and faith is a feeling. It's a knowing from self. It's from experience that we have on a non-physical level. So being an oracle requires that, because we're not going to see in that way. It's not like the physical person's going to be there in flesh and blood and we can touch them. Um, it's having belief in our experience, having belief in the messages we get, having belief in that bond that we build. And like I said, this could go for people that we're connecting to and go for spirit we're connecting to. But this reading is really hit on Oracle. And I think that's because I'm the one that's drawing, and this is part of my journey. So whether you, I would personally take this as specifically for Oracle, dealing with spirit, dealing with the unseen, whether that be ancestor or deity or land spirit or whatever. Just remember, there are 3 parts. We make ourselves vulnerable because we need to be our authentic self in it. We hold our own authority because we have boundaries and foundations we've created, and those need to hold during this time. We can move boundaries a little bit, dependent, but it should be from choice, our choice, not because we're being forced to. Personal authority. And belief. Belief and faith in your experience, in the messages you get. And sometimes that can be hard because other people may tell you, oh no, that's not it. But that's not their experience. This is your experience. This is your messages. And even though we may work with the same deity, or we may work with same spirit or concepts, our experience is going to be personal to us, where we are and where we need to go, what kind of growth we need. We can be similar, we can be adjacent, but if we're on the exact same path, getting the exact same stuff for the exact same reasons, we need to question that. So, in case anybody's wondering, these are all cards from the Seasons of the Witch, the Beltane Oracle. Being an oracle is something everyone has the ability to do. At least I believe this. To some extent, some are going to be, less connected to that. Some are going to be more connected to that. Yet we all have the potential. We all have the ability, and it's there in some measure. So it's something that maybe if you haven't gone that direction, it's something to explore more. And just remember, vulnerability, authority, and belief. Have a great day.